So I'm with Mike Grehan, Tom Jones of SEO, and we're at London SES 2009. So Mike, what do you think about the real-time search? Is there any interesting developments there? Do you think it's monetisable?
Well, first of all, I have to say I'm not going to be doing any Prince covers during this session. Real-time search is something that people, I don't think, have fully got their head around, in the sense that question and answering systems have been around for a while. So when we did the Orion panel this morning, one of the things that I talked about was the how verified social search can be compared to the kind of data that you just get from an algorithm. So basically the example I gave this morning was if you go to Google and do a search about some allergy that your children may have, then you get an algorithm that puts lots of documents together, and there could be a lot of conjecture in there, yes, but you don't know that. So it's not really verifiable information in that sense. Whereas if you go to a networking site, or say Facebook, if they have a parenting group in there, and there are lots of parents, all of whom their children have had this particular allergy, then you will get a lot of good data, verifiable data, and you'll get the end result that the group believes in that. So I think, if I just go to Twitter and say, I'm in Soho, can somebody tell me where the best bar is, then it probably works in real time. If I say one of my kids is dying of an allergy, then, Twitter's probably not the best route for that one. But certainly I think social search, or, in the sense of real-time search. Just to add to that, again, one of the other examples that I gave, and I don't get paid by OpenTable, by the way, but I live in New York and I spend a lot of time. It's a big place to get to know, and my job has me out and about quite a lot. And there's an application that I have on the phone, the iPhone OpenTable, and the great thing is it actually tracks me. It knows exactly which street corner that I'm on. I ask it to find me restaurants, but not only, say for instance like with Google local search, not only does it just say there are some restaurants in that vicinity, it actually tracks the table that exists a few hundred yards away. So at least I know when I go to the restaurant that the table is actually free as well. Now that's real-time search, and I think that's probably a lot closer to the kind of thing that you're talking about. But social search certainly is a very, very big area of development.
So that's very interesting. So do you see mobile being a kind of core component of this kind of new vision of real-time search?
Yeah, well, again, I think Google is probably closer to that kind of real-time search with what they're doing in automobiles at the moment, because they're hooking up with Garmin, as it is the bigger one in the States, I think, and TomTom here. So that you could be driving into Los Angeles and do a quick search at Google and say, give me sushi restaurants in whatever area. Google comes up with the results, you press one, and all of a sudden your TomTom drives you to that particular restaurant. So again, that kind of real-time search probably is closer to kind of automatic local search, I would say, more than anything else.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what we're actually kind of seeing is, the real kind of coming of age of widgets, where, these small components of the web can now exist on sort of multiple devices, like TomTom.
Yeah, so, this new document that I wrote, New Signals to Search Engines, Future-Proofing Your Search Marketing Strategy, is all about the fact that not only are search engines looking for new signals, but there are other ways and means of doing search, and apps is one of them. You don't need the browser for every single thing, I mean, on my iPhone, I've got the Facebook app, I've got Twitterific. I have no idea what it is, by the way, guys, but when I get Twitter, so I've got all of these applications that I can access in desktop widgets, which say that I don't necessarily always have to go the HTTP route, and those signals are very strong and very, very useful,
So will we see a kind of new type of metadata that we as SEOs have to kind of intervene with, or do you think all this sort of metadata is going to come off the device itself, so GPS, EXIF data on photos, that kind of thing?
Yeah, metadata, when we talk about it, you immediately think meta tags, old-fashioned SEO, 1999, but metadata existed a long time before search and Google and Alta Vista and that kind of thing. I mean, it's been very important in library science. So I think, yes, the way that we do tag things, I think folksonomies are becoming very important. One of the things that I mentioned in the New Signals paper was the Danbury Library in Connecticut. If you go to danburylibrary.com, I think it is, if you do a search there for their books, not only does it just come back with the Dewey Decimal, ISBN, that kind of data, but right below you'll see all of the tags with the keywords that go for that particular book, and each one of those tags leads to a related novel or a related text that would go with that. And the interesting thing is, it's not the people at Danbury Library who are doing that. All of that data comes from a place called librarything.com, where they have 150,000 librarians who are busy tagging all of these books. And I think they've done some like weirdly huge figure, like 50 million books or something. So what they've ended up with is literally the world's second largest library. And that's metadata. In fact, there's a great book. I can't remember the author's name. He'll hate me for it. It's just called Tagging, People-Powered Metadata. It is a very good read, gives you a good idea of, like you say, the kind of signals that we can help to provide to other people who are searching. Yeah.
And this kind of leads nicely into semantic web and this kind of ongoing dream of the semantic web. Do you think, is the semantic web still a dream, or do you think we're kind of getting closer? Or do you think that perhaps we'll be able to resemble meaningful experiences, but we'll never be able to have a kind of machine-to-machine thinking kind of communication?
I don't know that we're ever going to get to semantic web the way that Tim Berners-Lee has talked about it, and by using, pure math and an algorithm to get there. There's got to be that human element that goes in. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of signals that search engines can get about a particular document or about a particular video purely by the user trails and the keywords that people have used to get there, So those kind of relationships are very, very strong. I think semantics probably will become much more important because video is so important. So, if you take videos at YouTube, Google owns YouTube, and people put some tags in and some keywords there and say that's what it's about. A better semantic understanding of that movie would be able to tell you that even if you use those words, you didn't realize it's actually a blue movie or pornography or something like that. So I think semantics, in terms of those, completely non-text documents and getting to understand what they're about, is probably going to become more important than saying, can every document that links to every other document be semantically related to it,
Yeah, and actually some of the things you've been saying make me quite hopeful. It sounds like Google's looking to kind of participate now with big information systems and let them contribute to the algorithm in new ways. Do you think Google's starting to kind of open up in that respect, open up to the big enterprises and publishing houses, video producers?
So one of the things that I talked about in the paper was that if Google said that it has seen, and I'm quoting from Google's blog here, by the way, that Google has seen 1 trillion URLs, and it's less than likely that they can crawl those URLs in a timely fashion, so that by the time they get to 1 trillion, it's still relevant to whatever the query is, And then ask them how big is the World Wide Web? Well, we don't know because we don't have time to look at it. That trillion URLs is only one part of the web that they've actually been able to identify themselves. So yes, there's some good, strong data in there. But at the same time, there's a lot of great information that's going on over in social networking sites, the kind of thing I talked about before, verifiable information that people are talking about, questions and answering systems. And even when it comes down to local search, like I said, the kind of partnerships. So one of the things that I talked about is that Missions Google was to bring together the world's information and make it accessible, and that's not quoting directly, but whatever it is, and accessible and useful. And I don't know that HTTP and HTML, I don't think that's the right protocol to do that. But if they do partner with other people who are bringing in sources of information from other places, then these are new signals. Then, as a marketer, then we have to be part of those new signals,
Excellent. Mike, thanks very much for a great interview.
You're welcome.